I like Oklahoma, I really do, and I think most of you guys know this, and I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but it's how I feel. I am still highly concerned about this football team. I don't know what's going on at Oklahoma, I really don't. I think I've made this clear, but we got new people coming to the channel every single day, so I'm going to say it again, and it may not be the last time I ever say this, but one of, if not my favorite teams in the country, all the college football to keep up with, and one of my favorite fan bases in the entire country is the Oklahoma Sooners. And I know exactly why I'm so drawn to this team and their fan base, because when I see another fan base that is as passionate about this sport as me, there's that mutual respect. To go along with that as well, Oklahoma has been one of the most relevant football teams of all time, and they're also very entertaining to keep up with. I could go on and on. There is many reasons why I like keeping up with them, but the point is I do. However, with that being said, we haven't talked about this team in over 2 or 3 months. And last year, I gave it to Oklahoma fans. I told you straight up, y'all sucked, and you did. It was pitiful what I saw. It was embarrassing. But one thing that always stuck with me all throughout last year is Oklahoma fans telling me, hey Matt, you got to give BV, which is Brent Venables, another year, and we also got a heck of a recruiting class coming in. I've kept that in the back of my mind, and in today's video, we're going to talk about what in the crap is going on at Oklahoma, because it's interesting to say the least. Also in today's video, we got a couple other minor topics to speak on, including the NCAA is moving closer to changing the rules. And last but not least, the official numbers of people that attended all the spring games in the country, they've came out. We're going to take a look at all that. You already know the intro. If you like college football content, consider subscribing. Help us get to 300K. All right, Matt Bubba, shut up, no, without further ado, let's get into it. We'll start with this first because I meant to talk about this yesterday, but we had so much crap going on. So we talked about this a little bit a couple months ago. The NCAA, they announced, hey, we're going to change the rules, go to the NFL style where after first downs, the clock's going to run. Which isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it will change a lot of stuff. I'm not going to freak out about it, but I'm not a fan of it because it just seems like college football is turning into the NFL. The transfer portal, that's pretty much free agency. You can now pay guys, similar to the NFL, and now this. We're just moving towards the NFL Junior. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me. I would love for somebody to tell me we're not the NFL Junior at this point. Or not the NFL Junior, my bad. I don't know why I was saying that. The NFL JV. I'm not a fan of it because the part about college football I like more than the NFL is it's different. But now it just seems like we're trying to fix something that isn't broke. And my granddad always told me that. He said, Matthew, don't fix something that isn't broke. Just why? It seems like a bunch of nerds that are in the front office. They have nothing better else to do than change some rules. Check out this comment though. I found it rather intriguing. At this point, the SEC needs to consider seceding from the NCAA. What does the NCAA really do? SEC, go super conference and just go independent. Some may laugh, but something like this is coming because the NCAA has lost control. The reason I found that so intriguing is because Greg Sankey has made it clear he may do that one day, but we'll have to see. Another great comment, got over 250 likes. Thanks for yet another change to college football that absolutely no one wants. Maybe focus on some real changes folks do want, like, I don't know, faking injuries, PI calls, and please for the love of God, change the targeting penalty to a flagrant 1 and 2. Yep, I agree. I've said this since when did that rule come in 2015, 16, 17, the targeting rule. You shouldn't be ejected. I hate the fact that we're going to throw a kid who is working hard his entire life, his entire offseason. He's lifting weights at 6 a.m., practicing all the time. We're going to throw him out of one of the biggest games of his life because of a targeting call? My take on the targeting rule is if you get 2 in one game, you get ejected. But if you get 1, let's just chalk it up as a 15-yard penalty and he gets to stay in the game. I don't mind the targeting call. I just hate the repercussions. You shouldn't be ejected from the game after 1. And the people that disagree with this, I highly doubt you've ever played a competitive sport. These kids, these football players are going 100 miles per hour trying to make a play. The last thing these guys are thinking is, oh, I need to have my head up. I don't need to hit them high. No, they're not thinking about that. They're trying to make a tackle. The best part about basketball and football is you're not supposed to think. You're supposed to go out there, react, and just play to your full abilities. But now we're making these kids think too much. And it's the same thing with the NFL. They said at first, oh, you can't hit a quarterback high, but now they're saying you can't hit them low. I could talk about that for 15 more minutes, but we got to get a move on to our second topic before we get into the main topic, the main encore. And that is the spring game attendances. These are the top 12 attended spring games, and we're going to work our way up, starting with number 12. We got Florida State, USC, Colorado at 47,000. And remember, Colorado, they sold out. If they didn't put a cap on it, they might have topped this whole thing. Clemson at 50K, no shock there. But here's one that shocked me. South Kakalaki at 51,000. Why does it shock me? Because South Carolina isn't a top 10, top 15 team in the country. But this just goes to prove and show people. I already knew this, but I think the rest of the country is going to find out. South Carolina's fan base, it may be top 7, top 8 in the country. They love their football. The only reason they don't get talked about more is because their football team has sucked. So unfortunately, when your team sucks, the fans, they don't show that much love, but that's how it works. But now check this out. They get a couple big wins last year. What they wind up going 9-4? Was it 9-4, 8-5? I don't know, something like that. And they have 51,000 people show up to the spring game? Keep your eyes on South Carolina. Shane Beamer, he's building something there. I don't know if it's going to last, but he's building something. Above them, we got Georgia, no shock. We got Oklahoma. We had Tennessee. Then we had Alabama at 58,000, nearly 59. No shock there, but check out the top 3. Nebraska at 66,000. Talk about that in a second. Penn State with 68,000. And Ohio State with 75K. I'm not going to talk about Ohio State with 75K because it's Ohio State. We know they have a strong fan base. But here's what shocked me, and maybe I shouldn't have been shocked. Penn State with 68,000? And I know some people are going to say, well, what about Nebraska, Matt? That didn't shock you? And no, not a single bit. If 66,000 people showing up to Nebraska spring game shocks you, that shows me you're a casual football fan. Because real football fans know Nebraska sells out every single college football game. They've been selling out, and they've straight up sucked. And I can't be the only one who does this. Please tell me I'm not in the comment section. But I'll tune into Nebraska games last year, year before, and the years before that just to see them lose because it's funny seeing them get beat when they're having sellout crowds. I also need to throw this in there, I forgot, but a couple of these stadiums on this list, they were also closed off for renovation purposes. So don't freak out about this list. It is not the biggest deal in the world. But now finally, moving on to our main topic, the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video, we got to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners. So Oklahoma... Sorry about that. But Oklahoma had their spring game on Saturday, and if you were anything like myself, you might at one point in time saw this. Second quarter, and it's 60-55. That is when I happened to click on the game, and I was like, what is going on? Is the defense that bad? I'm in my head thinking, dang, here we go, deja vu again. But come to find out, they had one of those systems where it was these weirdage points. That wasn't the actual score of the game. And I don't know, let me know in the comments, but am I the only one who is tired of seeing all these complicated spring game scores? Can we not just do it like regular college football? Is that too much to ask? It's just harder to keep up with. I just think they should keep it normal, but whatever. That's a different conversation for a different day. The game was extremely high scoring for multiple different reasons, and I didn't watch it live in action. I actually was watching it early this morning when I was doing some film study. I watched a little bit of it late last night. I got up early this morning and watched pretty much all the game, and I got a lot to say about it. Well, I don't have a lot to say about it, but I'm going to sum it up for you guys that didn't watch it or you don't care to watch it. I like Oklahoma. I really do. And I think most of you guys know this. And I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but it's how I feel. I am still highly concerned about this football team. They are in one of the weirdest positions out of any school in the country, and I'll explain why. You got a brand new head coach, and he's going to be there bare minimum this year and more than likely next year, no matter what happens. They're going to give him some time, and to go along with that, they just had one of the best recruiting classes in the country. I believe they finished in the top 5 or top 6. The recruiting that BV and his staff did in this most recent class, it was phenomenal. So on one side of it, it's like, dang, this is looking good. We got a new coach. We got a great recruiting class coming in. We just got to put the pieces together. But on the flip side of it, you got to bring this up. This team still isn't great, and I don't know if they're that good. The defense last year was arguably one of the worst in the country. Texas could have scored over 100 points on them if they wanted to. Same thing for TCU. TCU could have scored over 100 on them. But also, going back to the other flip side, you got your starting quarterback, I think a top 10 quarterback at the college level, and Dillon Gabriel coming back. Make no mistakes about it. Dillon Gabriel, now that I think about it, may be a top 5 quarterback in college football. So you have a lot of things that sound good, but for some odd reason, these guys on the team, they haven't put it together quite yet. I think the best way to describe it is you got a bunch of talented players that haven't gelled. Let's get a move on though. Talk about the spring game, and well, there's not too much to say. I need to throw this in there to give you some perspective. They had a lot, and I mean a lot of players not play or suit up. So for me personally, I took what I saw in that spring game with a grain of salt. Dillon Gabriel was as good as advertised. He was 11 of 13, 140 yards, 3 touchdowns, but I'm not shocked by that. It's Dillon Gabriel. He did that last year. The problem with Oklahoma for me is I don't know if they can get stops. But also check this out. They just got a 4-star safety that goes by the name of Jaden Hardy, and this was a huge pickup. Huge pickup. And I see all these 4, 5-star defensive players coming to Oklahoma. But here's my question. Is it going to make the defense better? Truth to be told is, I don't know how to feel about this team. Because deep down, my gut's telling me, Matt, come to your senses. They was pitiful last year. There's no way they win more than 9 games. My gut's telling me, Matt, there's no way you go from having one of the worst defenses in the country to being good in the next season. But everyone else is telling me, especially all these Oklahoma fans, hey, Matt, last year was a fluke. Got to give Brent Venables some time. It's going to get better. And I would like to believe it, but I got to see it. I'm being told left and right, hey, man, our defense is going to improve. But I don't see it. And why it's such a fascinating conversation is because BV is supposed to be a defensive coach. And last year, he had one of the worst defenses in the country. So you see where I'm coming from. I don't know what's going on at Oklahoma. I really don't. I would love for my Oklahoma fan base to please fill me in on your thoughts and just how you're feeling. But we're going to wrap up the video here. Let me know your thoughts down below. But